All right. Well, welcome to another episode of the Humanization Project. I'm here with my friend Tony Brown, who I'm so excited to be able to talk to because up until recently, this was not a possibility. So it's really exciting to be able to see your face and talk to you. How are you doing today?
I am doing great, Jen.
Doing great. So Tony, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm 44 years old. I'm a father of 4 children, 4 grandchildren. I've written books that when the coronavirus ends, I'll be publishing. I enjoy working out, of course, trying to eat healthier, but it's difficult with so many pizza places around. But that's about it. Married for 5 years now, and enjoy serving the church and doing everything I can to help people.
Yeah. So you guys have been married for 5 years, but you've been together for a lot longer than that, right?
Yes, ma'am. We met when we were 10 years old, 1985, and the Lord just led her back into my life 13 years ago. And she began what pretty much led to me coming home. And she's my soulmate, She's my rib, so best friend.
Yeah, I saw you post yesterday on her birthday. I saw you post about how you guys met, but Taj was telling me that the story was a little more complicated than that. Can you tell that real quick?
Oh, sure. I just came to the elementary school she was at. She was already attending, and I used to sell like penny candy. Like around my neighborhood, they used to sell penny candy, cookies. So I would take them to school and sell them to a lot of the kids that stayed in the country, because I stayed like what you call the inner part of our city. Yeah. And as I was selling some candy one day, she came and got some and refused to pay. And I asked her why she refusing to pay. And she said, "I'm your girlfriend. I don't have to pay you for candy." So that was the beginning. And it's been, hooked at the hip ever since, I think, in some interval or another in our lives. This more so better than any other time, I would say.
Cool. Hi, Lynn. How are you?
Hi, how are you, Jen?
Doing good. Nice to see your face.
Yes.
Jen's hair is different.
I know.
What?
I said your hair is different.
Oh, yeah, the light is making it look really white, but it is still blue. I don't know if you can tell.
I thought you was going into the frozen thing now.
Ah, yeah, no, it depends on when you see me, because it always kind of evolves. It'll be darker blue or lighter blue as it fades out, and then I put it back in. So it's always like a process.
Oh, okay.
So tell me a little bit more about your family. You said 4 kids?
Yes. And what else? What else about the family?
We have 3 daughters and a son, and we have 4 grandchildren.
How old
4
are
grandbabies.
One of them's really little, right?
I don't have no. I'm gonna join this right Google Meet at 2 just to say hi.
We have, let's see, our oldest grandchild is 7. And then we have a granddaughter that is turning 3. Oh, she's turning 4.
4.
She's turning 4. And then we have a granddaughter turning 2 this year. And we have a granddaughter turning 1 next week.
Wow.
Yeah. Our mothers have a birthday coming up also. They're both born on the same day.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
And our births are separated by their birthday.
Like right in the middle?
No, ma'am.
Mm-mm.
My wife is born May the 7th. I'm born October 24th.
Uh-huh.
Our mothers are born May 17th. Our births are separated by 5 months and 17 days.
Which is the same as 5/17, May 17th.
Interesting. That's cool.
Very much so.
Very much so.
Taj's birthday is December 14th, and my birthday is February 14th, and so we celebrate our split birthday on January 14th. We make that a holiday.
That's
Wow.
funny.
I like that.
I like that.
Yeah,
Swear.
yeah, that's like our
You were born on Valentine's Day for a sweetheart, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's why you're a sweetheart, Jen.
Mm-hmm.
It was natural for you.
Yeah. So Tony,
Growing up,
what's that? What were you saying, Linda?
what should say?
Couldn't hear you, Jen.
Oh, that's okay. What were you saying, Linda?
No, I was saying, growing up, him and I met in school, and actually we, outside of him, me actually demanding him to be my boyfriend in the 5th grade.
Okay.
After 5th elementary school, we ended up at separate middle schools, but then we ended back up at the same high school. But we would see each other casually here and there. But what is amazing is that when he got a little older and got to high school, I was more into high school than he was. Tony always grew up in poverty, so he's always had the mentality of making sure that his siblings and all were straight and where their next meal was coming from. So being in high school and doing schoolwork and all was like secondary for him. Unlike me, I grew up an only child. So I grew up an only child into a middle class family. So
Yeah.
when I got to high school, I was all over the place. I was playing basketball. I was a cheerleader. I was here, there, and everywhere. But what's amazing is when I was 16 and I started driving, I had went to visit him at his house, and his mom told me this story. Actually, I didn't know it. His mom told me this story a few years ago, but when I left, he looked at his mom and he said, "I don't know how, I don't know when, but that's my wife."
Nice.
We weren't dating or anything. We were just friends. And he definitely wasn't, anywhere near my mind at that point being a boyfriend.
I wasn't popular and cute enough, Jen.
Oh yeah.
I was popular, so that's the thing.
Oh.
So, I wasn't short of a boyfriend or a guy liking me in any manner.
Right.
But it's amazing how, we plan for our lives, but it's never always what we plan.
Yeah.
But it's always what's the thing for us.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing about this.
Yeah. I think a lot about that too.
It's a weird how I got connected back. We never lost touch, even when he got in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Even when he first got incarcerated, the very first institution he went to, I went to visit him. And it was the first time I had ever been to a prison. It was a very traumatic experience for me.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And I told him that day I was never coming back.
Oh.
And I did. I told him, I said, I'm coming back here. Isn't that amazing? I put my own foot in my mouth. I had no idea. But, we are firm believers in the Lord, in our faith. And he was the one that turned that around. And I'm glad he did.
Yeah.
I'm glad he did, because I always knew. And it was funny. The first time I went to see him, I was like, this is not even you. I've been knowing him since elementary school. So I knew that incarceration just was not him.
Right.
He just didn't even look right in there.
Yeah.
It was really weird.
Yeah.
It was really weird seeing him in there.
Yeah.
And so I didn't like it. I couldn't stand it. And just seeing him in there bothered me a lot, and I didn't want to go back.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
God would say differently. And glad I was obedient. And even when it came upon my heart, you know, the Lord was like, "That's your husband." I was like, "You kidding?" So I am ecstatic about it. I can't even begin to tell you how blessed I am.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not enough money in this world that would have given me as much peace and happiness that I have right now. None.
That's awesome. So, Tony, what's been the best thing since you've been out?
Waking up in bed with Linda.
Yeah.
Because, I didn't sleep on a mattress in prison. So I just slept on what, if you've seen pictures, is just a steel grate. And that's how I slept for close to 20 years. So the first time I touched that bed, Jen, every time I touch the bed, I fall asleep. Like literally just that amount of comfort just changes the whole dynamic of my body. I go instantly fall right out.
I bet.
So I never get in the bed unless I plan on going to sleep.
Yeah. I think that's probably the thing that I think about the most waiting for Josh to come home is being able to wake up next to him.
Yes,
so I'm glad that you're getting to do that. Tell me a little bit more about the books that you've written.
Oh, well, I was encouraged to write something pertaining to my life, and I didn't think about it until when I started writing, because I would always pray before I would start. And I was working in the library at Powhatan, so me and my boss, my supervisor, was super tight. So he was like a father figure mentor to me for like 7 years. And he would always open up an empty classroom and just let me go in and write and just be to my thoughts for 3 hours a day. And the first book is it's an autobiography, but it's based upon a reference to Genesis 32 about Jacob's name being changed to Israel. And that was the first book. The second book evolved because every morning we would read a daily bread together. But the only book I had was a Faith to Faith by Kenneth and Gloria Copeland. So we had read that for some years. And she was like, "You could do that." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" "You could write us a daily bread for every day." And I was like, "All right, sure." So every day I just started writing devotionals about marriage and about something that we were experiencing and something that I was studying. So that evolved into the second book. And I have a third book running around in my head, and I just have to sit down and actually do an outline so it can be what I want it to be. Do some research.
Wow,
but that's about it.
That's awesome. So I know that your faith plays a huge role in your life, and
Yes.
Tell me more about that. Were you a person of faith before you went to prison? Is that something that happened in prison? And then what all did you do with that while you were there?
Well, most of my life, majority of the beginnings of my illegal dealings with marijuana, I lived across the street from a church, literally. But I would never go in. I would use their parking lot in their field to play football in with young kids when I used to teach them how to play football. But outside of that, I would never go in. I didn't doubt that there was a God. I just never had a belief that at my juncture in life, I needed him. So when I went to prison, of course, for the first, I guess, 7 to 10 years, I was living but not existing. I was just every day with the same mundane schedule. I was just, well, thank you, baby. I was existing, not living.
Mm-hmm.
And I just would get up every day and just, do the same schedule. I knew every day when I got up what I was going to do, exactly almost to the letter. And then when I got a letter from Linda and she was like, "Your spirit is troubling me." And I was like, "Well, I don't know how that is because I'm sitting in prison and I'm not really bothering anyone. So I don't know how I'm troubling your spirit." So she said, I'm going to come see you and yada, yada, yada. So she came and saw me and she was like, "Are you reading your Bible?" I was like, "No, I still have it, but I don't read it at all. It's like, it sits there and collects dust and then I wipe it off so it doesn't become so dusty." And she was like, "Well, you need to start praying. You need to start doing XYZ concerning your belief in God and to see if, because without that, you aren't leaving prison. And I was like, well, I was 32 years old at the time, and I'm serving a 66-year sentence. So of course I'm saying to myself, why not? You know, is it gonna hurt? I've done everything else in here the wrong way. So why not try something that could not only give me peace, but hey, who knows what'll happen? And for the last 13 years, that's how I've lived my life. I just went, like with everything, with the legal things that we often do, we go full force, you know, we head on. We're like the bull just running up the hill to fight. So I said, that's how I'm gonna have my faith. I'm gonna be all in, and I'm gonna make sure that my character lines up. It's a motto I came up with early. I won't do anything to shame God. And that's always helped me a lot, because it's easy to do things that you may look like they may not be a shame to you, but in the eyes of God, that could be a complete shame. So I never tried to, you know, women would look at me and think things, but I would never conversate with women beyond cordial conversation. You know, hello, how you doing? How's your family? But I never would do things that would shame God, because I felt like if I did, I would lose her. And I didn't want to lose that. I didn't want to lose the person who led me to him. And I didn't know that it would lead to me actually marrying her. But, you know, it did. And I'm grateful that I made that decision, because life has been beyond peaceful since then.
That's beautiful.
Yes, ma'am.
So, how long have you been out now? A couple weeks?
Oh, 30, 35. No, I got on the 3rd. So today is the 8th. So about 38, 35 days, right? Yeah, 35 days.
Wow. Are you I don't know if you've been able to. Are you working? What are you doing?
No, just working around the house. When they let us go abruptly, I was in reentry when they came and got me.
Right.
But they shut the reentry process down.
Right.
So I wasn't able to have an ID. The DMV used to come into the prison to make sure you have your ID and everything before you leave. But being that COVID happened, they stopped coming in. So sometime this week coming up, I'll get an ID, and then, you know, I'll kind of ease my way into the workforce, I guess, because there's a lot of places in walking distance of where we live that are hiring. But I don't want to do anything that would jeopardize myself or Linda and our son who live here. So, you know, I don't want a 60-hour job at Amazon, you know.
No.
So just something to kind of get my feet wet, you know, just kind of get acclimated to being around people that actually work in a job again. Because in the prison, most of my time was spent teaching the word. I was co-pastor of the church inside of the prison, and I worked floor and maintenance in the support building. So, you know, you do the floors, you do painting, you do things like that. But it kept you busy for 8 hours a day. So I just want something, not necessarily 8 hours a day, but just something to get acclimated to back being in the normal swing of society.
Right. Are you hoping to be able to do pastoral work as well?
Oh, yes, ma'am. As soon as the opportunity comes about, I'm all in when it comes to that. I love teaching. I think my experience in prison, I was a teacher's aide for 15 years. So that kind of translated into when I started learning the Bible and learning, it came as a natural progression for me. So Kairos is something that, have you heard of Kairos?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So I'm actively involved in Kairos. I communicate with probably about 10 to 12 people from Kairos right now currently. And of course, they've invited me to be a part of the ministry. So anything I can do to give back, where young people in prison can see that, yes, people leave, and yes, people are successful and they don't ever come back. That's something that I definitely can't wait to be a bigger part of.
Good. That's beautiful. Yeah. Thank you so much for this. Is there anything else you wanna share?
Yes, ma'am. That oftentimes in life, we think that one mistake defines us, or many mistakes can define us, but your character can supersede every mistake that you've made. It's always that opportunity to bring about light in the midst of a world where we see constant darkness. We're seeing a lot of things that are kind of rising up again, especially in our country, but we just have a capacity as human beings to show something greater than just a mistake, something greater than just, I did this. This doesn't define who I am. But I think humanity as a whole, we all have something within us that triggers a compassion and empathy for others. And so I think that that's real important for everyone that's released from prison to redefine the narrative of who people think that we are when we leave prison, and to become those empathetic contributors that we all should be, because we're created to be empathetic towards one another. We're created to love one another. So if we did more of that, it would be less of some of the other things we're seeing. But I'm completely grateful. I'm humbled. I'm honored. I'm elated about what life has, in store for me and my family. And I can't express my happiness in words sometimes, Jen. It's like, I just cry sometimes by myself because it's so wonderful.
Yeah. Well, I think that's,
and you'll be doing that soon.
yes, I hope so. I think
Yes,
that's a beautiful place for us to leave off today. So I will let you go for now. Thank you so much for talking with me today, Tony.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Jen.
And I can't wait to give you a hug in person.
Yes, ma'am. Very, very soon.
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am.